Welcome back, everybody. In this part 2 version of the stochastic examples, I'm going to be turning the stochastic that we created in the last video into a stochastic RSI. Now, the difference between a stochastic and a stochastic RSI is that stochastic is based on the closing price, yet the stochastic RSI is based on the RSI value of the closing price. So essentially, stochastic is an indicator of price, and the stochastic RSI is an indicator of price. So it's 2 steps away from price. So in the last video, we created this script here, where we identified a length of period for the stochastic, a smoothing length of percentage K, which just for this example I'm going to now rename that smooth K, and the D value was a smoothing of that to create a signal line, so I'm going to call that smooth D. Now, because I've changed those variable names, I'm now going to change the variable names where they are used. There we go. And that should be fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to create the stochastic RSI, we now need to give it an RSI value. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to copy it down. I'm going to call that RSI length, and for argument's sake we'll just leave it at 14. And now we need to create a variable called RSI, and that is going to create the RSI value. Now, Pinescript has a built-in function called RSI, and it takes 2 parameters. It takes the closing price, or a data point, and it takes a length of time. So we're going to use the RSI length for that length of time. And so now the RSI variable now is going to be creating the RSI value of close within the length of period defined in RSI length, which we've set at 14. Now, to show you how this all works, I'm going to copy the plot line by that. I'm also going to comment out this block of code, which is Control/, and instead of plotting the D value, I'm going to plot the RSI. There we go. And this is going to be RSI, and I'm going to give it a yellow color. There we go. Now, if I hit save on that, we should theoretically get a yellow line, and this is RSI of 14 periods. Now, if we go into the format or the cog icon here, these aren't going to do anything at the moment, but if I adjust the RSI length, then we should see the RSI line changing. Won't it break down? It gets more and more jagged. Alright, so I'll cancel that. Now, to create the stochastic from the RSI, in the previous stochastic, the data point was the closing price, and then it needed the highest value and a lowest value to get the ranges, and then it needed the length. Now, instead of using the highest in this situation is the closing price, it's a default, we're going to replace the data point of close, the highest and the lowest, all with the RSI value. So I'll copy that, replace close, replace that, the highest, and that one. And now we have the RSI going through the stochastic function. And if I comment that line and highlight that block of code and uncomment that, we should get a stochastic RSI. And there it is, just for argument's sake, I'll move that line up and I'll create, no, I won't create, I'll recolor the line yellow. Done. And now we have a stochastic RSI. Now, if we wanted to go one step further, if we were using stochastic RSI and we'd also like to use RSI, we could also plot the RSI along with this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a transparency of 70, and I'm also going to make the style equal area. Now let's see what happens now. Oh, look at that. So now what we have is we have an indicator that both shows the stochastic RSI, and in the background, the area, this is your regular RSI. Kinda handy if we like to see both at the same time. If we wanted to add a middle line, say the 50% line, we could copy that line and give it a value of 50, and we could make that a white color with 50% transparency, and we could make that, say, dotted. And now what we'll have is we'll have a middle line going across here. Hopefully you can see that on the video. But what we can do now is hide all these windows. Now we have stochastic RSI with built-in RSI, and there we go. So I hope you like that. Now what we can also do with this indicator is we can start to do our own customization to it. Now what are we going to do? Well, we're going to experiment with letting it tell us when it has crossed when the yellow line has crossed the red line, up or below. So what we're going to do from that is we're going to create a function or create some rules around when that is true. So we're going to do that underneath this. Give us a bit of room. So let's create a variable called crossed. Okay, and this variable is going to evaluate to a Boolean value. In other words, it's either going to be true or it's going to be false. Oh. Right. Now, so to do that, this variable is going to be equal to a function called cross, and that function is simply going to be true when two parameters have crossed. Whether it's above or below doesn't make any difference. So we're going to give it those two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the K line, so K, and the second parameter is going to be D. So what that means is that when the K, so in this situation the K line is the yellow line and the D line is the red line. So when K crosses D, this value becomes true, and then what we can do is we can say paint a background color. Let's give it a color of green, just for argument's sake. And the background color, or BG color, has two parameters. Well, it probably has more, but we're only going to use the two. It's going to have a color and a transparency offset, whether it's editable, show last, and title. So background green and transparency, let's make that transp equals, let's give it a sort of a light transparency, let's give it say 70. Now if I hit save at the moment, it's basically going to paint the entire background green. I'm just also going to comment out the RSI for now. So if I hit save on this, we should see a big green on everything, and there it is. Actually, if we just do that, and it's going to show up that green color a lot darker. So now everything is green because I'm just saying paint green. So to make this useful, we are going to have it ask a question essentially, and this is an if, kind of like an if-else statement. I'm going to say, ask the question, crossed with a question mark, green. Then I'm going to go colon NA. So what this is essentially saying is crossed. In other words, did it cross? If so, if that's true, then I want you to paint green. On the other side of the equation, if it's not crossed, then do whatever's here. In other words, NA means not applicable. Like, do nothing. Don't paint anything. So, have a question, do this. Have a colon, do that. So, if this, then that. So, if we hit save now, it should only paint green when the lines cross. And there we go. So whether it crosses up, down, up, doesn't matter. So what we could now do is we could now say, well, what if I want to know if it crosses up, but not if it crosses down? And to do that, we're going to change the function crossed to crossed up, and the function that it's going to be calling is going to be called crossover. So now if we do that, we'll change that variable name, we're going to call that there, and now if we do that, it should now paint only green when it crosses up, but not when it crosses down. So let's find it. There we go. So it crossed down there, did not paint. So what if we wanted to see if it did cross down? So what we'll do is we will take these two lines, copy them, and I'll move that up. So now I'm going to call cross up, cross down. The function's not going to be cross over, it's going to be called cross under. And take cross down, replace it there, and this time we'll call it red. So now if I hit save, we should see red and green bars for when it crosses up or when it crosses down. Okay. So what if we don't care if it crosses in the middle here? We only want to know if it crosses above that horizontal line, or if it crosses down and it's above that line, or if it crosses up and it's below that line. So to do that, we're going to add some more code, obviously. We are going to add to the end of the crossed up. So our horizontal line is set to 80 and 20. We also have a 50 there, but we can just ignore 50 for now. Let's comment that line out. So to do that, we're going to allow the user to change these values, because at the moment, if we go into the code here, the only way we can change those values is if we go to style and we physically change them here. But that is not very useful if we want to be able to let the user change it. So let's get a little bit more room. Let's call the first one upper limit, and that's going to be, let's just take this, copy that, and we're going to be calling that one 80, call that upper limit, and we can take out that. We don't really need that for now. Okay, and then now we'll copy that line, call that lower limit, like so, and copy that word, replace it there, and make that 20. 20. So now what we can do is take upper limit, change that into, instead of hard coding 80 there, we're now putting in the variable of upper limit. Same thing with the lower limit. So now if we hit save, it's going to look pretty much the same. Oh, can't compile the script. Why is that? Because line 8, upper limit. Oh, because we've got multiple equal signs. That's not right. If you're following along and you're learning as quickly as I had to, you would have seen that and you were expecting that to happen. Okay, so now we have the stochastic RSI, and we can now change that line. See, the red line is moving down, moving up. So now we can change where we place our threshold limits. Move that one down, move it up. Cool. So that's working. So now what we'll do, we'll clear that, give it a bit of room. So now we can do, let's say the condition is going to be, it's going to be crossing over, the K is going to cross over the D, but let's say that it also has the D, let's say the D line has to be below or equal to that lower limit. So we're going to add to the CrossUp function, and D is less than or equal to the lower limit. So what's this? What this is doing is the first part of, on the left hand side of the word and, this is our first condition, and this evaluates to either true or false. When we add an AND function to it, we are adding this condition. D is less than or equal to the lower limit. So for example, at this green point here, is the D line, the red line, is that less than or equal to this green line? In this case, no, that would be false. But on this side of it, down here, the red line is below that green line, the lower limit, so therefore this would evaluate to true. With the AND, both must be true for the variable crossed up to be true. So now if we take that condition and we copy that to there, and there, D is now going to be greater than the upper limit. We hit save, and now it'll paint less bars because, whoop, there we go. So now we're only seeing it where it crosses up and it's below our lower limit. Now if we wanted to, we could change our lower limit down to a bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more, and eventually things are going to start dropping off. There we go, like that. So here, really, really low value. There we go. So that is how we create a stochastic RSI and make it paint red or green background colors, background bars, when we have two conditions. The first condition is that they've crossed over or crossed under. Crossed over would be going up over a line, cross under is going down over a line. And then the second condition is that the red line, the D line, has to be below our lower limit or above our upper limit. And that's how that happens. So, thanks for tuning in. Quick shout out, I came across a really cool podcast and I thought I would share that with you guys. There. Okay, so Chump Change. Really cool podcast. They've done 8 episodes so far. Really recommend it. It's quite a nice, easily digestible news about crypto and Bitcoin and altcoins. Recommend, check it out. Subscribe to them. Worth it. It'll show up once a week or whenever they do it. So shout out to these guys. Rob and I believe Luke is the other guy who does it. They research some stories, some news of Bitcoin and altcoins, and present it to you guys in a really easy, digestible, really good way. So well done to these guys. I've just started listening to them and really like it. So there you go. I may as well put the link will be in the description. Give it a listen. If you found this helpful, hit the like button. Actually, don't even hit it, just click it with your mouse. And if you have any questions or suggestions of what I could potentially do for another topic, put it in the comments. So signing off for now. I will work out what I'm going to do next and come back with another video. Stay frosty and profitable. Catch you later, guys. Bye.